Hey, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Ron Harris here at the Ron Harris channel. Couldn't think of a better name for it, so we're going to go with Ron Harris for now. It's my last live Q&A for the year. Going to be spending some time with the family for the holidays. Might do a video, but I really doubt it. So I wanted to get started here with a couple questions that we had. Actually, one question. Let's go to from someone who missed the last show. But I wanted to help him out here. He's a very, very loyal viewer. And it was on the last video. And he said, so that was fasting frugivore. Big Ron, how in blazes do I get rid of a nagging biceps tendonitis pain in the left arm down near the elbow? Thank you, mate. On. Okay, fasting. So very, very common bicep tendonitis. Let me get rid of that. Stop sharing, stop screen. Very, very common because we use our biceps, obviously, for everything we do for back, for biceps. You know, if you ever had any injury in or around the elbow, it can affect almost anything that you do for the upper body, even the lower body, things that you have to hold on to weights. So I'm not a doctor. I'm not even a physical therapist or anything close to it. However, I've had my share of tendonitis problems over the years. Rest is the number one remedy for tendonitis. Tendonitis really is just inflammation of the tendon. And if you train very often, if you train very high volume, you're probably more likely to suffer from tendonitis. So try backing off on the volume, try taking some more rest days. You can ice the area. You can take anti-inflammatory over-the-counter medications like ibuprofen, Tylenol, not so much. It's not as good as an anti-inflammatory. You want ibuprofen. Advil is a real common trade name, but you can get all kinds of generic ibuprofen, super cheap, especially if you go to like a membership warehouse like Costco or BJ's, Sam's Club. You can get these giant bottles of generic ibuprofen, which is the same exact stuff. It's all the same drug for half or a third the price. So you'll get it at like a CVS or a Walgreens type of place. You can go further if you really want to try things like massage, deep tissue massage, Graston technique. Geez, if you have a lot of money and it's really bothering you, plasma rich, what's that called? The platelet injections, where they spin up your blood and they inject it in you. It's not the same as stem cells. Stem cells would be even more expensive, more extreme. But really rest. I've noticed a lot of times, say somebody starts training their legs twice a week to bring them up, which is not a bad idea. But a lot of times what they'll find happens is they start getting knee pain where they didn't have knee pain before. And it's really just the tendons from the overuse, the constant use, that makes them inflamed. And the only way to reduce the inflammation is to not work them as often. Because every time you train, it's going to get a little bit inflamed. Just the nature of the beast. Okay, so hopefully that answered that. And I got one more question from previously. I want to get to. This was from Instagram. So I did this, it was a Transformation Tuesday type of thing. I put up this picture. How do I go back? It's not even going to show me the picture now. Come on now. Damn you, Instagram. You suck. Anyway, so it's this picture here. I think you can see it. So it's me at age 18. I just turned 18 there on the left. I'll go to the picture in a second. What was your stack at age 43? Awesome look versus Diana Ball only watery look at 18. To which I responded, and this is a guy that it's a private account with 0 followers, no picture, a troll account basically. So I said I didn't touch a steroid till I was 27. I was 135 pounds at 18. Let's get to that. Let's see if I can get to the picture. I'll try to show you the picture. No, I don't want to switch accounts. Oh boy. So anyway, yeah, let's just get out of that. So the only reason I even brought that up, because I want to let people know I was natural until I was 27 years old. That those pictures from back then, I was really good at posing and hiding my weak points and making myself look bigger from certain angles, even then. So I was 135, 140 pounds there in the beginning. I wasn't on anything. Not even Diana Ball. Didn't touch a steroid for many, many years. So, and as far as the stack, it doesn't matter. I honestly don't remember my exact stack for my last 2 shows which were both in summer of 2013. I did Team Universe and Masters Nationals. I'm sure I was on test up until a few weeks out. I'm sure I was on trend. I know at the end I threw in things like Masteron, some Arimidex, an aromatase inhibitor to really help get rid of the last bits of fat and water. Mainly the fat from my glutes and my hams. What else was I on? I don't even know. It doesn't matter because whatever, there's no secret drug stack, guys. That is such a myth. And I find it hilarious when there's so many so-called self-proclaimed experts who will look at physique and they think they can tell you exactly what this guy was on. Exactly. There's no effing way anybody could know that by looking at somebody. If someone's got a lot of water retention and zits, you could probably guess they're on some higher androgen, drugs higher on the androgenic scale. Things like Anadrol, D-bol, Tren, Test. Those will give you more water retention. DECA will give you more bloat, water bloat. But you can't look at physique. You can't look at any of these guys at the Olympia, the Arnolds, whatever. You can't look at them and know exactly what they're on, or even close to it in a lot of cases. You can guess, and people love to guess. And if someone claims that they know the stack or that they're so smart, so well-versed in anabolics, they can look at any physique and tell you exactly what that person's on or very close to it. It's a crock of shit. They have no idea. They're just guessing, and you're buying into it because you have to know. But let me tell you guys, there is no stack that anyone takes that you could duplicate to make you look just like that person. You have to have the right genetics. Let's use a great example of the latest freak on the block, Nexzilla. Can I find his Instagram? I bet I can. Just want to give you an example of someone who's super, super freaky. Rubiel Mosquera, aka Nexzilla. Everyone's talking about him. He's going to the Arnold Classic. So, yeah. These some new pictures. Why are these pictures not showing up on my screen? This is troubling. Oh, there we go. That's him squatting. Okay, so I'm going to put him on the screen here. Why? Because he's Rubiel. Yeah, so here we go. So here's one's pulled out. I'm just pointing out the development of this guy because a few years ago, I think there was a picture he posted in 2018 where he was a regular gym guy. Nothing special, not big at all, at all. You would have walked right past him in the gym. Wouldn't have even noticed him. Now, of course, it's only showing videos for some reason. Yeah. Well, these are pictures he took with other people. The point being is, here's a good video. See how full and round those muscles are? That's genetics, guys. You have to be born with a certain quality to your muscle tissue, certain muscle belly lengths, muscle shapes. I'm sure there's an even deeper explanation biologically as to why he's able to look like that. Because I guarantee you, any of you could use exactly the PEDs he's using. I don't know what he's using, but you and I could both use exactly what he uses or has used. We would not look like this. You would not. That is a genetic, we call it genetic freak. It's because he's a very rare specimen. The people that can build, oh, there he's just showing you the clothes inside the pro shop at Banu's gym there in Dubai. Oh, there's a good picture. Joseph Alt, great photographer. Yeah, guy looks great. Guy looks awesome. There's Kevin Leveroni backstage looking at him. I mean, those legs. I had good legs, but these are, you could fit both of my legs in my prime, I think, inside one of this guy's quads. Amazing. Even Kevin Leveroni was dumbstruck there. So knowing somebody's stack doesn't really help you guys. It doesn't. Let's get to some pictures. I'm sorry, pictures. Let's get to some of your questions. Jen, hey, Jen, appreciate you joining us. Giles, what's up? What's up? That's Giles over in the UK. Giles Tiger Thomas. Let's see. Okay, I think it's a question. BY, my gym has one of those old Nautilus leg extensions with a post in the middle, and I love it. Why are there no more machines that are built like this? And the lying leg curl that Dorian had. Good question. I have no answer as to why certain machine designs were not duplicated or imitated more often. Good point Jay Cutler made to me years ago. When he was doing leg extensions, he always wanted to find a leg extension where the post was in the middle and you had a roller pad on each side, because he felt, and probably rightfully so, that on most of the models where it's just one pad going straight across And you can say the same thing for leg curls with one pad that goes straight across. You put both your feet under it. So in case of a leg extension, it would be your instep, above your foot. It would be the other side for lying leg curls. It would be, the other side of your leg. So those over time tend to sort of warp and change. So they might start out perfectly straight, but then over time, there's a little bit of a tilt to them. What happens when you get a pad on a leg extension or a leg curl that's now slightly tilted is one leg is going to get worked much harder than the other leg. I would assume the leg that's closer to the lever arm. So one leg's here on the side that's closer to where it connects. That leg is going to work. That one's going to work harder because it's got less distance. This one over here is going to work get a little less work because now the leverage has changed and it's a longer lever arm. So the same thing with the leg curl machine. Nautilus made one that I used in that video that because Dorian had the old Nautilus machines at his gym. A lot of people consider those the golden standard, even 20, 30, 40 years after they were produced. So if you have access to a leg extension or leg curl with roller pads on each side of a post, and there's no chance at all that they can over time tilt one way or the other, go for one of those because you'll be sure to get equal distribution on both limbs. Whereas the ones that over time have sort of warped and tilted a little bit, your leg curl or your leg extension, you're not going to get even load on both legs. So you don't want that because you're trying to get equal development of both limbs. Symmetrical development. Let's move on to the next one. Let me top 5 for the Arnold Classic Ohio. Jeez. Wow. Let's look at the list. Let's go to the list. Shall we? Let's go to Arnold Sports. I'd have to have the list in front of me. Arnold Sports. Okay. I'm finding it right now, guys. Okay, here we go. Why isn't that not showing up? Jeez. Oh, boy. Trying to get the list. It's like dark page. Anyway. All right, I guess I'll do it without the list in front of me. So, actually, I know how to get it. I have to go to... hang on, I know what to do. I'm going to go to my list, which was here. That was alive. Home Classic list announced. Shh, be quiet, Ron. Shut up. Okay, so I'm going to go to the list. Okay, so maybe I should go to, I'm going to present the list on the screen so we can all look at it at the same time. And that is YouTube. Okay. So, Hollingshead, Samson. Okay, so I'm assuming that everyone on the list makes it to the show. And I was actually very, very surprised and honored that the promoter of the show himself, Brian Powers down here, Brian Powers got on and reminded us, I think he posted twice. He wanted us to know that pending just means that they're still sorting out their visas, but he anticipated no problem. Did he put that in there? Yeah, pending. Brian Powers said pending just means we're waiting, or means we're just waiting for their immigration paperwork. We do not anticipate any issues. Hadi, Andrew, and Rubiel are training for the show. He also let us know, remember the UK Arnold, the Arnold UK, which is 2 weeks later, $130,000 for first prize. So let's look at the list. I would have to go with Hadi Choopan for the win. If Hadi shows up, looking the way Hadi's always looked, there's your winner, Hadi Choopan. If he can do that, which I don't see why he couldn't. He's got, the drive of a champion, the heart of a champion. Got Hani Rambod, best coach in the business. If you look at Olympia titles, he's got 24, 25 Olympia titles to his credit now. I go with Hadi Choopan, first place. Samson Dauda, second place. It's not bad, right? Second place in the Arnold. Third place, I'll go Andrew Jacked. Yeah. Fourth place. Now it's starting to get a little tricky. I'll go James Hollingshead. I think he looks fantastic. And we need someone to round out the top 5. I know you guys want Nexzilla to be in the top 5, but I personally think Rafael Brandao with a year off is someone I think is more than capable of being 5th place, if not higher, at this show. Rafael was 10th place at the Olympia in 2022, which I believe is the last time we saw him compete, and looked great. He was in top 10. Beautiful shape, symmetry, structure, all that. Needs a little bit more size to move up, and he took a full year off to do that. So, yeah, I'll do it again. I'll say it again. My top 5. You can all have your own top 5. Agree with me, disagree. I have Hadi, 1st place. Samson, 2nd place. Andrew, jacked, 3rd place. 4th place, James Hollingshead. 5th place, Rafael Brandao. Wild horses who could easily be in the top 5. Horse MD, John De La Rosa, Justin Rodriguez, Nexzilla, Hakeem. I mean, it's a great lab. The only guy I've never heard of is Remco. I don't even know how to say this name. Remco Bozy, the top there. I don't know who that is. Curious to see him though. So let's stop that screen. That's my top 5. You guys can put your own top 5 here or leave it in the comments if you're watching this on a replay. Jacked up. We're still talking about tendonitis, elbow tendonitis, very, very common. I have tendonitis in my elbow. I wear a strap on my forearm, which enables me to keep training, but I can't do curls. Yeah, tons and tons of guys you'll see with those elbow sleeves, those neoprene sleeves. So those are really good at keeping warmth in the area, blood, a little bit of support. It doesn't really, I don't think it does anything to actually alleviate. The tendonitis is inside. It's inside the tendon. It's inflamed. So that's not going to really help you, that elbow sleeve, but it will give you a little more support. It's tight. It's constrictive. You know, I used to wear those on my elbows for years, and because I thought what I had was tendonitis. It turned out I had a torn tricep. For years and years, I didn't know it, and it eventually healed way up here. The long head of my triceps, which is the one that goes behind, you know, when you're in the back shots and you can see your triceps from the back, that's really your long head. So my right long head of my triceps was completely torn and retracted up toward the freaking armpit. And, you know, for years, I just thought I had bad elbow tendonitis because it hurt. But that's what it was, torn. Eventually, it didn't hurt anymore because I guess the injury had healed. Yeah, so they sell straps. There's all kinds of gadgets and devices that do help. They help alleviate some of the pain. But rest, ice, and, you know, anti-inflammatory medications like over-the-counter ones like ibuprofen, your best bet for sure. But really rest. And if there's any movements, if there's any exercises you do that really hurt your elbows, stop doing those. You know, a lot of guys insist on doing things like skull crushers with, you know, heavy barbells, even though they have horrible elbow pain. So it's tennis elbow is on the outside. The pain on the outside is called tennis elbow because I guess when you're playing tennis, you're always hitting that tendon with some stress. And on the inside of your elbow, that is golfer's elbow. I don't know. I've never played golf, so I'm not really sure why golf would exacerbate inflammation in that particular area. I don't know. Golf. I'm not laughing at golf. I tried it once. That was so bad. Those are huge wheels. We're talking about Nexzilla there. Yeah. Arstav, where do you see bodybuilding in 10 years? 60 Minutes said quantum computers will calculate protein folds years faster than supercomputers. New peptides. I'm sure that drugs and, you know, I don't even know if they'll be called drugs. The technology for these things can alter your body's chemistry. You can't change your genetics, I don't think, once you're already out of the womb. But I'm sure if we can genetically engineer tons of animals, we could do the same thing with people. We could certainly produce genetically engineered super people that were physically superior to normal human beings. But, you know, 10 years isn't really that long a time if you think about it. 10 years ago right now was like the end of 2013, which to me feels like yesterday. 2013, the last time I competed, I still remember everything vividly like it was yesterday. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be advances in not so much drugs that are like steroids. I don't think steroids are getting any more. I don't know if they even can get any more advanced or better than they are now. We haven't had any new compounds in, geez. You know, they've come out with designer steroids, but those were typically just to be able to beat drug tests. They weren't any improvement on existing steroids. So I don't think we'll see much in growth or advancement in the area of actual anabolic androgenic steroids. But peptides will continue. There'll be new peptides will come out and other things, which we probably don't even have names or classifications for. SARMs, maybe they'll get SARMs right. SARMs were supposed to be selective androgen regulation. They were supposed to be molecules. SARMs were supposed to be like steroids, but without the side effects. And selective androgen receptor molecule. They were supposed to be like steroids, but without the side effects. Turned out that was completely off base. They still have side effects. You still will shut down your regular HPTA. You'll stop producing testosterone, just like you would if you were injecting testosterone or taking any steroid. They affect your liver, your kidneys. They have the same exact side effects as steroids. They're basically just like another compound that acts like steroids. So maybe there'll be advancements in that where we can finally have access to something that's giving you the same results as steroids, but with very few, very, very mild side effects, if any. I can't imagine there'll be no side effects. That's a lot to ask for. But I think it's possible to develop that. The only reason something like that would be developed is for, we used to say baby boomers, but now they're getting old. It's millennials, not millennials, the Gen X guys like me. We're getting older now, so we're all looking for ways to look and feel younger. Anytime there's a huge group of people with a lot of money to spend on looking better and feeling better, pharmaceutical companies will jump all over it. So you can see that with Ozempic has made billions and billions and billions of dollars from people that don't want to diet. They just take this Ozempic and they're not hungry and they stop eating. They stop eating a lot of food and they get much thinner. They lose a lot of weight. Like Wegovy is another one I think it's almost identical to Ozempic. It's out of a country in Denmark. And I read the other day that the profits from that one drug in that one company, the pharmaceutical company over in Denmark that produces Wegovy, the profits they've made surpass the entire gross national product of the country of Denmark. That's pretty astonishing. Imagine that. Everything else that's produced and sold in that country doesn't add up to how much money that one pharmaceutical company made off Wegovy. Because if you can tell people, I think that's probably what we'll see eventually is something that will be maybe like either a true myostatin inhibitor, or something that acts in the same way, something that causes you to grow muscle without any effort, without any exercise at all. Because Ozempic is helping people lose weight with zero effort. They're not going to the gym. They're not dieting. They take this drug and they're not very hungry. So they start eating much, much fewer calories and they lose weight. There will probably be something developed if the companies feel there's money to be made, if they feel it's something that they can make a ton of money off, they will come up with something that builds muscle with zero exercise, zero effort. And I'm sure that's 10 years, within the next 10 years, that's more than possible. At the rate technology is moving and the pharmaceutical industry is moving, I'm sure they're working on things we have no concept of yet that would blow our minds if we even knew about it. So let's see. Goku says, where do you think Martin Fitzwater would place in your own lineup? He's certainly capable of the top 5, and he's not on the list right now. But if we have any dropouts, because right now there are 12 men on that list. If we have any dropouts, I could easily see Martin being invited, because I think I've heard that he did apply. He asked for an invitation. They didn't give him one. Let's see if we can find his. Let's go to Martin's Instagram. It's like Fitz. Let me just do Martin Fitzwater at BB Pro like everybody else. It's Mark Fitz. It's a really strange one. Okay, so let's present. Let's take a look at Martin, shall we? Let's look at Martin. Martin the Martian. Okay, so here's some posing from 4 days ago. Yeah, he's thick as hell, isn't he? He's a thick dude. Certainly bigger than what I remember from last time I saw him compete was the 2022 Texas Pro. I think he got like third or fourth. He looked great. It was just a tough show. Andrew Jack has won the last 2 of them. So this was him 4. So last week, it's better luck next time at the drawing board. I didn't apply for UK. So see y'all later. Well, Martin, don't give up so easily. Like I said, if people drop out of the Arnold for whatever reason, maybe they can't get a visa, maybe they get injured, maybe, who knows? It can be any number of reasons. People drop out of contests. If that happens, I'm sure they would start coming back to their list of applicants that they denied and get some of these people in. Yeah, it looks like we can only show videos on this for some reason right now. He's telling us how to get rid of shoulder pain. Yeah, why is this all black? Okay, here it was black. I'm assuming, yeah, this was actually Halloween Day. He posted this. He was a Hulk. Yeah, Martin's pretty damn good. Okay. All right, we're back. So, yeah, Martin's certainly capable of a top 5 finish there. I don't see him winning. I don't see him beating Hadi Choopan or Samson Dauda or Andrew Jacked. He's not at their level, but I could see him possibly squeaking in like a 4th place. But like I said, we got Hollingshead in there. We got Neckzilla, Akeem, Jess Rodriguez is, he's when he's 100% on, he's dangerous too. Diamondback, love you doing, Ron Assistant. Thank you, Diamondbacks 47. Happy holidays to you. No, Jen, I'm good. I'm good. This is easy. This is just answering questions. I'm good. I appreciate you watching. Brian Powers commented, that's huge. Yeah, that's the man. Oh, you agree with my top 5? I mean, let's see if you guys have a. Giles was there in Prague. He saw Rubiel turn pro. He saw him make his pro debut. He saw him backstage up close and personal. And yeah, that's a freaky guy. In the pictures and the videos, when you see people like that actually in front of you, it's like a whole other level because obviously it's 3D. You know how we always say the contests are different when you're actually there versus watching on a computer screen or whatever. Your phone obviously would be nothing like that. But being there and seeing people in the flesh, as we say, totally different experience. You get a different perspective, 3 dimensions, and it's especially if you're up close. Like if you were backstage and saw like a Hadi Choopan up close in shape, Derek, any of these guys, you'd be like, oh my God, is that a human being? Yeah, they're crazy. Let's see. Cody John, thanks for the info. I need to come back to the gym after being sick for a week. Yeah, take it easy. The first day, especially, you might have lost a little tiny bit of strength. Just you barely, if you lost anything. But realize that your body was fighting whatever infection you had, bacteria, virus, whatever. And it's still a little bit compromised. So have at least 1, if not 2 workouts where you sort of ease back into it. Don't try to go as heavy as normal, like 75, 80% of your usual weights. Cut back on the volume. So if you do like 4 sets of exercises normally, do 3 sets. Just try to get a good sweat going, good pump, but don't go crazy. Don't kill yourself trying to be super intense first day back. But a week is not long at all. A lot of times, especially those of us, if you're not sick, if you miss a week of training due to unforeseen circumstances, maybe it was work obligations, work was too crazy, family obligations, school, maybe it's like finals week or something. A lot of times, as long as you were sleeping and eating that whole time, you come back to the gym and you're as strong or stronger than you were before. Sometimes you might realize you're a little heavier. You put on a little bit of muscle because your body might have been overtrained and it needed a break. You gave it the break and your body just filled out and feels good and fresh again. Howdy Fro from Texas. What's up, Texas? That guy. What kind of anti-estrogen would you recommend to take if you start noticing nipple soreness? That's a Dr. T question. Do you stop taking the AI after soreness is gone, or stay on the AI for the duration of the cycle? Yeah, I know I said PEDs on this, but I only know like the very basics. Nolvadex, the old school trick. That's I think I used to take. I think it was 20 milligrams a day of Nolvadex for like 2 weeks. I know if you go to the Ask Dr. T, because the YouTube videos are still up. The Muscular Development YouTube channel is still up. It has not been taken down yet. And the Ask Dr. T videos are still up. Geez, because we get that question. We got that question about gyno almost every week. And I put the list of the questions in the top comments and pinned comment of every episode. So if you go back there, but I believe Dr. T said Basically, it was Nolvadex is all he uses. We use Nolvadex at the standard dose, which I believe is 20 milligrams a day. He would do that for like 2 weeks, and that would typically take away the soreness. Yeah, sorry I couldn't be more helpful with that. New York Pro's looking up nuts. Also, Nexzilla, Rafael Brandel, Tonio Burton, and many good bodybuilders doing it. Yeah, New York Pro is typically a very good show. It's considered the third best show in the sport after the Olympia and Arnold Classic. And recently, it was announced by what page was it on? I think it was Bev's gym. Steve Weinberger's gym. Steve Weinberger promotes the New York Pro, and they doubled the prize money after all these years. Finally, but they took it from 10 to 20,000. And the ring, I think the ring is worth 5,000 that they get, something like that. So, cheers to them. Props to them for doing the right thing by the athletes, showing a little appreciation for the athletes by doubling the prize money, $20,000 for the men's open champ rather than $10,000. Don't know if that's across the board, that it was increased for every division. And I know some people are going to complain because they want all the divisions to benefit. And I get that. Classic's a big draw. Open's a huge draw. After that, I think things sort of drop down dramatically. I don't know how many people go to pro shows just to see men's physique or just to see bikini or some of these other divisions. They're popular, but they're not the main draw, as we say, whereas open bodybuilding and I'd say classic is coming right up there. A lot of people go to shows specifically to see the open bodybuilding, and along with that, classic bodybuilding is also coming up huge. Mark says, for the past few years, New York Pro is frankly super weak. This year is decent, but nowhere near the Night Champions days. Yeah, a big reason that the quality of the lineups has kind of been diluted or diminished is just because there's so many shows now, so many shows. I didn't count it up, the IFBB Pro schedule. Should we go to that? I think we should go to that. Let's go to that. Let's take a look at how many damn shows they have this year. Favorites. Let's go to the IFBB Pro website. IFBB Pro, where is it? Here we go. Okay, Pro schedule, 2024 Pro contest schedule. Okay, here we go. So let's take a look. Let's do a little count here, shall we? Yeah. Okay, so Arnold Classic is the first one. So they have everything. So they go by category. So these are all the men's open shows, and then after that it's 212. So open shows, we have Arnold is 1, Arnold UK 2, Brazil 3, Detroit Pro 4, Emerald Cup 5. That's a Masters. New York Pro 6, 7, 8, 9. Spain is 10. Let's put that at the top of the page. Italy 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. UK Pro. Legion is 21. France 22. Olympia is 23. 24, 25, 26, 27. Atlantic Coast. 28, 29. There were 29 pro shows featuring open bodybuilding, which is nothing compared to classic. I'm not even going to look at this. These are the shows that feature classic. It starts with the Arnold. There's one screen all the way down to Korea. There's a second screen all the way to Tanji Johnson. 3 screens to Netherlands. Chicago at the top of this one. 4 screens. Wow, look at all these classic shows. And men's physique, look at all these shows. Wow. Because it's cheaper. Wow. Men's physique has a lot of shows. Fitness, not so many. Figure, lots and lots of shows. Yeah, but we were talking about open. 29 pro shows. Back in the old days, there used to be like 3, 4, 5 pro shows a year. So you had stronger lineups. There was just fewer shows to choose from. Now, look at that. There was almost 30 open shows this year. I don't think any will be added. You can't add it. They have to have all their stuff in place before a calendar year starts. But, man, when you have that many options, you're not going to get great lineups at every show. You're just not, because people tend to want to do shows that are either close to them or they have their reasons for picking certain shows. And even New York Pro, which is a very prestigious title that a lot of people want to have, if they're over in Europe and, say there's 10 shows in Europe that are like an hour, 2-hour flight from where they live, it's probably a lot easier, cheaper to just do a couple of those rather than go all the way to the USA, especially if they don't have a sponsor paying for all their travel. So, yeah, I agree. It's the week. The lineups in general aren't as strong as they used to be for everything outside of the Arnold and Olympia for that reason, just because there are so many shows. That's why. Would Sam Sulek do better in classic or open bodybuilding? He's 250. So he's already too big for classic. The kid's got a really good physique. He's only 21, so we're not seeing anything like his final form yet, but he's going to have to go open. He's already too big for classic, and he doesn't have that pretty classic shape. I don't know why everyone thinks that classic is something anybody can do. It's for people that have aesthetically pleasing physiques. Small waist, really round muscle bellies, full muscles, small joints, beautiful structure, shape, and symmetry. Sam looks good. He doesn't have that classic look to me, though. He's going to have to get a little bit bigger. He probably needs like another 20 pounds of muscle before he's ready to do anything serious on an open bodybuilding stage. If he wants to, we're talking about, national level and then pros. He's going to need more size than he has now. But again, he's 21 years old. Jen says, last year we ended up with 22. This year I think we'll be more. Yeah, well, we counted 29. So they've already bumped it up significantly. 22 to 20. 29 is a pretty good jump for 1 year. Goku says, I think Samson's going to be better than the Olympia and beat Hadi. Absolutely, that could happen. Hadi's taking a major risk doing that show. If he loses, his momentum would be so shit. I agree. Hadi is taking a chance, a gamble doing this show. He wouldn't do it unless he was certain that he could win. And Hadi Rambod, his coach, would not support his decision to do that show if he felt it was a bad idea. They both, of course, feel he's more than capable of beating Samson and anybody else that shows up. The only person that's beaten him in the past couple of years was Derek Lunsford. He's not doing the Arnold Classic. But I agree. Bold move, because if he loses to Samson or, God forbid, he gets any lower than second place, that's not going to be a good look for him. Somebody who's trying to recapture his Mr. Olympia title, it's going to put him in a tough spot. Because if he couldn't even win the Arnold and Derek wasn't there, how's he going to beat Derek and whoever beat him at the Arnold? But on the other hand, he goes into the Arnold, wins it, $300,000 in his pocket, and now people are going to be like, okay, Hadi's got his shit together. Hadi's coming back to get his title. And it would make the Olympia that much more exciting, that much more dramatic of a showdown between Hadi and Derek, the rematch. There's 29 pro shows, yeah. 23 for because Olympia's 10, 11 through 12. Yeah, which was the same as last year. It was Legion, and then the show the next day was in Italy or Spain. It was in Europe. There was that final weekend, the same as the Legion. Joseph Arabla, has your weight fluctuated since your surgery? You tend to go up a little more around holidays. I'm doing a good job saying 220. It really hasn't changed that much. I did lose a couple pounds, not much. And I mean, considering of how much of your weight is in your legs, especially if you have big legs like I did, I honestly thought I was going to lose more. And I don't think it's because my upper body got any bigger. I don't think it did. I don't think it's possible at this point, my stage of my life and my training career. But yeah, I was surprised. 215 to 220 is like the range I've been in this whole time. I did get lighter during the summer at one point, but I was intentionally, being very strict with my diet, doing extra cardio, using fat burners. I use that Muscle Burn IQ from Muscle Tech, or Burn IQ by Muscle Tech was a good one. Hydroxycut Hardcore had some of that stuff too. But yeah, I was trying to be leaner. So I got down to like, I was like 210, 212 for probably, like June, July into August. Yeah, I actually probably gained weight after the surgery, to be honest, just because I was eating more and I wasn't doing anything for legs. I couldn't do any cardio. I couldn't do any cardio at all for over 3 months, not one bit, because that leg was in a brace. It couldn't bend. So I had to be kind of strict with my diet. I didn't want to look fat and bloaty because, my physique doesn't look awesome regardless, but it doesn't look good with extra fat. Whose does? But people who have better shape and more muscle mass, they can pull it off a little better when they carry a little extra body fat. those of us who aren't so gifted, we're not enormous, so we don't have that really beautiful shape. You kind of have to stay lean or else you're going to look not so great. I tend to go up. I don't go up much around the holidays like I used to, Joseph. I certainly did in years past. I certainly used to. It would start like around end of October and it would go all the way through New Year's. So I would just be eating more and more junk, especially at nighttime. My last meal of the day, I used to have like ice cream. I would have the meal, the actual, piece of steak or a sirloin burger or salmon, whatever. And then I would have ice cream, a couple bowls of cereal. I stopped doing that because my face gets so round and bloated looking. It's not a good look for me. People say, oh, it's D-ball. No, that was fat. That was fat, dude. That wasn't bloat. That was actual body fat. Tomas, should Brett Wilkin, Beirut, and Nathan Dasher receive special invites to the O if Walker gets one? Well, there can only be one. There's the policy has always been there's only one special invite, just one. So, no. If Nick Walker gets one, that's the only special invite that anybody's getting for the Olympia. So that would negate anyone else's requests. So I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, Beirut's his issue is getting a visa. He's been unable to secure a visa for the United States. It sucks, but now I think he's already qualified for. I believe the show he won was one that qualifies him for this year. The 2024 Olympia. So he doesn't need a special invitation. I believe he already qualified. I believe. Am I right? Somebody correct me because I'm probably wrong. So, yeah. Kiwi muscle. That's New Zealand. Did you ever see Vic Richards back in the day? I think Rubio would compare him size-wise. Not only did I see Victor Richards, he trained at my gym for about 3 months. I have no idea what the hell he was doing up in that area. I was at the World Gym in Pasadena, became a Gold's. It's gone now. He trained there for about 3 months. I want to say around like 97, 98, that era. He was enormous. He was like 300 pounds at 5'9". Arms were, 23, 24-inch arms, chest out to here, shoulders, traps, everything, quads, super, super strong. He was massive in person. He used to ask me to spot him, which was hilarious because I never helped him. Our dumbbells only went up to 150, which for him, that wasn't enough. He needed a place for dumbbells around 200. Maybe that's where he went after my gym. But I remember he'd say, hey, spot me. He wouldn't ask me. He'd like spot me. He was like telling me. He used to boss people around. The original Nigerian nightmare. And the 150 was like boop, boop, boop. Like the way you and I would do like 40s or something. It was hilarious. But yeah, he was a freak. I haven't seen Rubiel up close in real life, but size-wise, they're probably very, very similar. Jen is reminding us 2023 cutoff was Legion Italy, 2024 will be Legion in France. So yeah, Legion and a European show, same as last year. Could you imagine working for MD with the schedule? We never have days off. Well, Jen and I have been talking about contest coverage, and I made it clear that even if I do start doing contest coverage on this channel, I'm not going to cover every show. I have no desire to. Other channels do, especially there's a lot of Instagram channels like, bodybuilding. What's the one I always look at? Bodybuilders Without Borders. He does a great job covering like every single show. Of course, NPC News Online, they cover every show because they are the organization. The organization owns that media outlet. So they have staff of photographers and videographers at every single show anyway. So of course they're going to cover every show. It's built into their whole system. But I do not want to cover every show. I will cover, if we're covering shows, I'm just going to cover the shows that I want to, major shows. I'm not going to worry. There's no offense or anyone over in Europe, but if there's a show that's at like 3 a.m. or whatever, I don't want to be up all night or waking up super early in the morning. I'm being very honest with you guys, so I will not be covering those shows. Did I ever get to meet Chris Dickerson or learn anything about how he trained? I did meet him a couple times just to like shake his hand, honored to meet him, but no, I never learned anything about how he trained. I suppose you could Google it. I think he wrote a book. I do believe he had a book years and years ago, early 80s, that probably had his training in it. All the athletes used to have books. Arnold Franco, Frank Zane, Mike Mentzer, and they would sell, many tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of copies. Bob Kenny from Muscle Mag used to come out with these training books, like Built, Ripped, things like that. And they would sell like gangbusters back in the days when that was all you had was books and magazines. So if your favorite bodybuilder, you want to know how he trained, yeah, you could see some articles in magazines randomly, but you could buy his book and he would tell you exactly how he trained and how he thinks you should train with lots of pictures. And it was cool. It was a technologically, it was almost laughable compared to what we have access to now, but I sort of prefer that era. It's the huge advantage you have now is speed and accessibility. If you want to see how any of these guys look or train, you click on their Instagram, their YouTube channel, their website, their TikTok, whatever, and you have instant access to it. Back then, you had to buy books and magazines. Gosh, I'm so thirsty all the time. I know I'm not diabetic. I've been tested. Goku, you heard how Tyler Mannion said, now there's a huge size discrepancy between hottie legs. One leg is significantly better than the other. I did see that. I've noticed it with hottie. I'm going to go back to him. No. Yeah, maybe I will. You want to go back to hottie? Let's go look at hottie's pictures or videos. Let's take a look. Let's see what we think, guys. Huh? Japan. Nope. I was trying to search. I lost it. There it is. Hottie. Posts. Okay. Let's go to Hottie Chupan, shall we? Okay. So, yeah. So he's facing us. So that leg on the right, which is his left leg, it appears to be significantly bigger and better than the other leg. It's definitely noticeable. That's him getting the hero's welcome. So yeah, he's got 3 kids. Was I right about that? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 kids. I talked on the last live about how he'll never move to the US. Why would he? Oh, this is cool because it had some footage in it. He's returning it. Look at that. I mean, he's great. Yeah, right there, you don't see the discrepancy between the legs as much. It's nothing. It's not like one leg is withered down to nothing. You can just notice it. It's noticeable. And even there, you could see that leg was a little bit better. But it's nothing. Obviously, if it was that bad, he wouldn't have won the Olympia. If he was that asymmetrical. If he was missing that many body parts. It's Hottie doing some Romanian deadlifts. This is posing from 7 days, a week ago. Yeah, he's definitely training hard for this Arnold Classic. I really hope everything's fine. And he gets back into the USA, no problem. He's had no problem getting here for the past few Olympias, so I don't foresee any issues. And Hani Rambod's on his side, helping him with the visa, with his company that Hani is a legit employee of Evogen Nutrition. Yeah, look at him. That guy could easily win the Arnold. There's no doubt in my mind. It's one of his children. Yeah. Latissimus dorsi. Armpit and back exercises with the sayings and hearings. Farsi does not translate well to English. Armpit and back exercises with all the savings and hearings that will be interesting to you. Stay with us on YouTube. Link in the story. And then there's some Farsi, and I'm just curious what the actual. Oh, that's what that's what Google Translate does. Google Translate is. I found out the hard way from using it with people that it's not the greatest. It doesn't translate that well in a lot of cases. Google Translate. Yeah. Okay. Is that enough? It's enough hottie for one day. Okay. So yeah. Let's go back. Big Mike Cox. What's up, dude? What's up? I vote no too twice. Oh, what was Thomas talking about? Oh, the special invites. Yeah. You can't have more than one anyway. And last year we didn't. This year we're still in 2023. We didn't even have a special invite this year. The year before it went to Derek Lunsford. The year before that was Cedric. Year before that was Big Ramy. Am I right? I think I got that right. But they don't have to have a special invite. They don't have to do it every year. I say they only do one because they've never done more than one, but maybe they can do whatever the hell they want. Maybe they could invite 20 people if they really wanted to. Dane, thank you. He is not qualified. Yeah, I mean, I would only give him a special invite if we could have proof that he had a visa secured. Because why would you give him a special invite that could have been given to somebody else? And then the same shit happens again where he can't get into the USA, which is terrible. But now that invitation could have been given to somebody else, like a Nathan or a Brett. And with Nathan, I don't know his situation. They turned him away in Orlando when he showed up trying to get to the Olympia a couple months back. He was turned away, had to go back to the UK. So I don't know if he's even able to get a visa or what his deal is. So I wouldn't give him a special invite unless I had positive proof, again, that a visa was secured, that he could get here. Because otherwise, again, now you're giving that invitation to somebody and they're not even able to make good on it. And they're not able to use it where it could have been given to somebody like a Brett Wilkin who's in the US. And Brett pulled out of the Olympia due to some unforeseen health issues he was having. So I don't even know what his issue is. If he wants to do Olympia, I have no idea what his plans are. Guys saying hello to each other. Mike Cox, do you think the 1981 Mr. was fixed? Yes, I do. You're asking me. I have no proof at all. I'm just looking back. I told you before I saw many, many comparison photos from that 81 Olympia, which was Franco Columbo's second win. And yeah, I did. I wasn't feeling it. I don't think he should have been any higher than like fourth or fifth in that show. So in a case like that, fixed, yeah. I mean, I think the results were manipulated somehow in Franco's favor that year because he looked awful. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Let's put it that way. Hottie tore his quad. You can see the training view. Oh, crap. That sucks. Yeah. It's not obviously he didn't tear it like I tore it. My quadricep tendon was completely ruptured. My quad came completely off the knee and rolled halfway up toward my hip. What he has is if he has a quad tear, I'm just assuming that you're correct in this assumption, very partial, what they call a pull or a strain, which is something that's not going to require surgery. It will heal on its own. I and probably a lot of you out there have had partial tears, minor tears that resolved themselves. They healed with no deformity or anything. Like I remember, I've never torn my pec, but one time I was about to tear it and I had a little bit, I could feel something tore a little bit and it was hurting for a few weeks and then it was fine. There's no dent or anything there, but that was a partial tear. I was doing heavy Smith decline presses of all stupid things. But yeah, that's if he's torn his quad, that sucks. Because, he's known for his monstrous legs and he still has crazy legs, crazy quads. But training with an injury or it's an area that you have to sort of be so careful with, it's not the ideal situation. You want to go all out. You don't want to have anything mentally holding you back like, uh-oh. You don't want to be training legs and like, I better not do another rep. I better not put another plate on. You want to be able to push your boundaries and your limits. You want to take it to the edge and beyond to be a great champion, to do what others haven't done. So it sucks. If that's the case, if he has partially torn his quad, I feel for him. And I hope it's something that can be resolved and he's able to train 100% full function on leg days and everything else very, very soon, if he isn't already. Mike saw Victor Richards at the 94 Olympia, beyond massive, had no idea how he fed himself. So he used to claim, Nigerians have a reputation for telling tall tales, embellishing. They do. Look it up. He used to claim he ate 30,000 calories a day. 30,000. And people were trying to figure out, how is that even possible? You could do it if you were eating nothing but like saturated fat, I guess. You could probably eat 30,000 calories worth of saturated fat a day if that's all you ate. But if you're eating like chicken, rice, vegetables, just the sheer volume of food it would take to to get that caloric total would be insane. We're talking like bucket load of chicken and rice six or 8 times a day to get that many calories. I don't know if he was actually ever ate that many calories or anything close to it. I've heard of people that were able to get down 10,000 calories consistently, and that's a lot of calories. 10,000 is a lot. I don't think I ever went above, like, at my worst when I was drinking like weight gain shakes, the ones that they used to make that had like 3,000 to 5,000 calories in a serving. I think in those days I became a little porky pig. 7,000 or 8,000 calories a day, and it wasn't, because after I would get so bloated and sick and just look like shit and feel like shit that after like a month or two of doing that, I had to back off. I couldn't take it anymore. I just felt like, it just felt disgusting. I look in the mirror and like, God, my face is look like a freaking pumpkin. My ass has dimples on it. I grab jelly rolls around my middle. I don't like being heavier. I just don't. Oh, he says 20,000. Did I just embellish it myself and take it from 20 to 30,000? I probably did. Let's go to Google. I'm just curious. I just wonder what they have on that. I wonder if they have like him saying it anywhere. 20,000 calories. I'm just curious if anything shows up for that. Yeah, he did. He did claim to eat 30,000. Oh, he didn't die. We all reported he was dead November 10th, 2021. Even now, he claims he eats 8,000 to 12,000 calories a day. Boy, oh boy. Okay, so I'll find the old thread. This is bodybuilding.com forums. Is it still up? Let's see. I'd like to show you guys the actual stuff if I can. So I'm looking up this claim about Vic Richards eating 30,000 calories a day because it sounds mighty. Can't reach this page. It's gone. It's gone. Yeah, that one's gone. It's too old. Yeah. 15, 20 minutes. All the protein he eats. So someone said 15 to 20 egg whites and 5 chicken breasts. That's all the protein he eats. Yeah, there's no way if he was eating clean, there is just no way he would get. You can't get that many calories with clean food. Was Vic Richards a nice guy? I wouldn't say he was a nice guy. No, he wasn't like he wasn't what I would call friendly or outgoing. He just sort of expected and demanded respect from everybody because of who he was and how big he was at the time. I think he's become very religious since then, so he's probably changed quite a bit. I don't know if he's like a minister now or something, but yeah, he was. Greg Valentino wrote for MD for many years, the Ramblin' Freak column. Greg knew him pretty well from when Greg was only like 18 or 19 or 20. He lived out in Venice for a little while, Venice, California. Trained at Gold's Venice, and Vic Richards would do the same thing. He would sort of boss Greg around in the gym like he was his slave, or you're going to spot me, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, get my weights, put my weights away without even asking, just sort of demanding it. And he said Vic had a bad habit of oiling himself up before the workouts so he'd look extra freaky. He'd put like posing oil on, then go work out. And he'd have Greg spotting him, and Greg's hands were sliding all over the place because the guy's all oiled up. So Greg had nothing nice to say about Vic Richards. And I find Greg Valentino to be a very honest guy, very believable. So I don't think he was exaggerating. He sort of portrayed Vic as a jerk or an a-hole. So at least the Vic Richards from his bodybuilding heyday, not a nice guy. That was many, many years ago. He could be the sweetest man of God you've ever met by now in present day. I don't know. I do know that he wanted to be, when I tried to interview him for Ronline Report for MD, after we determined that he wasn't dead, and I apologize for falsely reporting it along with everybody else, he would do an interview, but he wanted to be paid. And I was like, dude, we don't pay people for interviews. I don't know. This isn't like the National Enquirer. I don't know, TMZ. that pay people for interviews. So no, I never got the interview because MD wasn't going to pay him, and I wasn't springing for the money out of my pocket for what? Mike says, cover the Tampa Pro. Yeah, well, that's a show. I didn't rattle that off as one of the shows, but the shows I would like to cover and I would probably want to be on site, not doing it remote like this, watching a webcast. Olympia, Arnold, obviously. Arnold UK would be great for me to go overseas and go see that. New York Pro, I think I said. Tampa Pro. Texas Pro is a great show. Legion Sports is a great show. So those shows, if I could go to all those this coming year, that's like my wish list. But we'll see. We have a long way. We still need to monetize this channel. I thought I had like 3,300 watch hours, and then I looked again. It was down to like 3,010. So I don't know if YouTube keeps taking my watch hours away or something. I don't know what's up with YouTube. They're out to get me. They don't like me. Mike says we'll be at Orlando or Tampa booking hotels in January. Yeah, I mean, if I want to go to these things, I need to get moving. I know. Do Olympia live stream around play-by-play? Well, I couldn't show you the live stream as it was happening because that would be a violation of all their trademarks and of all that. I'd be stealing their footage live. Typically, they're okay as long as the show's over. You can use some of the footage in your reporting in bits and pieces. You know, it's a fair use policy that YouTube has about using other footage that's trademarked and copywritten. But you can't just sit there with. I've seen people do it. Some of them get their channels taken away. Some of them most of them get their videos taken down very quickly. But during the big shows, especially I've seen like Brazilian YouTube channels and some of the Middle East, they will basically just share the screen of the live stream on their channel. So, you know, everyone else has to pay, you know, 50, 70, $80, whatever to watch the show. And they're putting on their channel for free for you to watch for free so that they can get the ad money. And, you know, if that gets back to the promoters of that show, they can legitimately file a strike against them with YouTube. They can get the channel taken down if it's bad enough. So I'm not messing with that. Tomas, if you had to choose one mandatory post to promote bodybuilding in the mainstream, which one would be and why? I think front lat spread shows the athlete's face and muscles well. Yeah, front lat spread is a really marketable pose. I think it's a heroic pose. When they used to show, you know, like Superman back in the day, they usually showed him like basically like a front lat spread with his cape flying behind him in the wind. That, or, you know, the front double bicep that's the pose like everybody knows. Everybody knows the crab most muscular, but it's not like that's considered sort of like a, you know, brutal animalistic pose, like the front double bicep. You know, you got especially someone like Arnold. People love seeing that pose because those huge peaked biceps, the flaring lats, small waist. People love that. But yeah, I think front lat spread's a good choice with a honorable mention / runner up for frontal bicep. We're waiting for Flex to come in the mail, like Christmas or with. Well, I didn't get it in the mail. I used to go to the newsstands. I knew the day every magazine came out. I knew when Iron Man, Muscle Mag, Flex, Muscular Development. I knew when they all came out, and I would go to either a newsstand or a bookstore or whatever and pick them up. And it was, I distinctly remember when I transferred after freshman year. I did at UCSB. My second, third, and fourth years were at Emerson College in Boston. And a lot of times I used to take the subway in, and I get off at the Copley stop on the Green Line. And just when you got to the street level, there was a newsstand right there with all the magazines and newspapers laid out. And I always knew what day they would have the new Flex, the new Muscle Mag, the new Iron Man, and so forth. And I was ready and just dying to, I can't wait for the new Muscle Mag. I can't wait for the new Iron Man. And I always like, those are, you guys, I feel sorry for the current generation because with all this access, you know, it's not as exciting because it's not like there's no effort required and you don't have to look forward to anything because it's just going to be there instantly at your fingertips. A click of a mouse or a scroll or whatever, it's instant gratification. That sort of takes away that anticipation, the excitement of like, oh boy, I can't wait for this. Like when the Olympia happened September 1st, 1987. I'm making that up. But the only way you were going to see pictures, photos, coverage of that Olympia, Mr. Olympia, you had to wait for the issue to come out. And it would typically be anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks after the event that the issue would come out with those pictures and the written reports by guys like Peter McGuff. They were fantastic sitting there reading. I loved reading those reports. We had great writers like Peter, like Julian Schmidt, Greg Zulak. We had great writers just covering the sport with these educated eyes, and they were describing it like you were there. It was a something that you guys will never get to experience, unfortunately, you younger guys. And I actually do feel sorry. I wish you could have experienced that. It was. I think things felt more special, just more. I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking at it through the lens of nostalgia. I don't know. Was Chris Dickerson the first bodybuilder open to gay? I don't think he was. I think Bob Paris came out before he did. Did Chris ever even? I don't know that Chris ever came out as being openly gay. I know he was gay, but I don't recall. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of his. I had nothing against him, but the guys from that era that I was paying more, I wasn't actually following the sport when he was Mr. Olympia. It would still be a few more years, but the guys from that era that I sort of looked at more were like Frank Zane, Mike Mentzer, Boyer Coe, Danny Padilla, not so much Chris. He had a really good physique, obviously, but nothing about it really appealed to me or stood out to me. Obviously, he was great. He became Mr. Olympia. Here we go. Joseph Roblo. My favorite book back in the day is Slice. Still have a copy in my office at work. I believe it was a Bob Kennedy book, meaning that he produced it, but I don't know if he wrote that or did. There was a female bodybuilder from Canada named Negrita, Negrita, rest in peace, Jade, Jayde. She was a very gifted writer herself. I think she wrote that book. I think it was like a bodybuilding. These were books that gave you like a lot of basic bodybuilding information, good solid info to refer back to, because we had no internet. And I think Negrita wrote that. I'm pretty sure. It's a cold, dry air makes you thirsty. I'm always thirsty, Jen. It's awful. You'd think I was, because that's like one of the main signs of diabetes is that you're thirsty all the time. But I have my A1C test and everything. I'm not diabetic, but I think I'm just used to drinking so much water every day. I go through easily 2 gallons of water a day, easily. So I get thirsty, especially if I'm talking for more than a few minutes. It's embarrassing. Yeah, Joseph is, yep, Negrita Jade. Yeah. I don't think I had that one. But man, I remember some great books back in the day. Dr. Fred Hatfield wrote one called Scientific Bodybuilding or Bodybuilding Science. I mean, there was some great stuff back then, some really good writers and great photos. They would have like Chris Lund photos, Robert Reef, great shots. I used to buy some of the books mainly for the photos. I remember I bought the Nautilus Advanced Bodybuilding book, the first bodybuilding book I ever bought. And it was the photos. They had training photos of Boyer Coe, who was on the cover. The cover was him on a Nautilus preacher curl machine. He had these double split. He had 2 splits in his biceps. It was amazing. I bought the book for that. And then inside there were pictures of like Mr. Olympia competitions of that era, which would have been like the mid-'80s, early to mid-'80s. And like Zane, Mentzer, all these guys, Boyer, Chris Dickerson, Danny, Franco was in there, Samir Banut. Just great shots. Great training shots from Chris Lund. Yeah. It's noticeable. Yeah, Dane, if Tyler brought the leg up, that's not a good thing. Because he's a judge. If it's just like he's mentoring the audience. Yeah, I actually give Tyler a lot of credit. He reviews, he's done like videos that he puts on his Instagram, he posts on the as an Instagram post where he sits there and he lays out exactly, breaks down the fitness Olympia, the figure Olympia. This is why we picked so-and-so. This is the criteria that put this person over the other one, because judging it's not easy to understand. Even for those of us who have been around, sometimes there are calls where like, but he will come out and he'll explain exactly why somebody beat somebody else or somebody lost to somebody else. This is what they need to work on. This is what this person had that the other didn't or didn't have. Very, very detailed and transparent. He doesn't need to do that. Judges never said shit back in the day. So for him to do that, I do applaud him for that. Google Translate does make some mistakes, says Jen. That's where I was in Miguel spot checking me for Brazilian beat. Yeah, I've used it a few times when the people got back to me and saying, That's completely messed up. You just told me like my mother's a goat or something. So you got to be careful with Google Translate. It's not as authoritative as you would hope it would be. It's just not. So Dane, when his back days, talking about Hadi Chupan, he was talking about how you should respect the gym management, bring your own towel, and dress nicely. Cool. Yeah, because he owns. I thought he just owned one gym. I guess he owns multiple gyms in Iran. Hadi Chupan. But yeah, respect the gym management, bring your own towel. I wouldn't expect that. I mean, we have paper towels at my gym, and so I got my new hoodie I got from them today. Jeez, where am I? It's over here. Base show logo. Yeah, I gotta hide that to show the logo. Yeah. So we have paper towels and spray balls all over my gym. So when you're done, your gross sweat, you spray the paper and you wipe it down. So the next person doesn't have to percolate, marinate in your sweat because we don't know where other people have been. You know, they might not have had a bath in days or weeks. Bath, shower. I still say bath. That's how old I am. Hadi is a unique guy. What's I use a Brazil word for bitch? And luckily Miguel caught that one. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to make mistakes like that, right? Where you're insulting somebody inadvertently, unintentionally calling someone something you definitely did not mean to disrespect them. Goku says, do you think Rami is back and good enough to place top 5 at this year, Mr. Olympia? Top 5, sure. I mean, I think he's always capable of top 5. I would never say, oh, Rami's never going to make top 5 again. But he would have had a tough time this past Olympia, I think. And yeah, we need to see what he looks like again. You know, his physique, I thought he was able to bring up some weak points for sure. At the Arnold, between the 2022 Olympia and the 23 Arnold Classic, not weak points, just things in his physique that had sort of deteriorated all of a sudden. The lower lats were retracting. This tricep was starting to go away, starting to lose some size and fullness. One of his calves was losing a lot of size. And, you know, I still have no idea what the hell was going on with that nerve damage or whatever, but he went and got all the stem cell treatments and he came back looking much better at the Arnold, but still he could only get fourth place at the Arnold. So for a two-time Mr. Olympia I think he was 5th at the Olympia in 2022 and then 4th at the Arnold in 3 months later at the Arnold, 4th place. So yeah, I mean, that's not a good sign, but we'll see. We'll see what the rest does for him. Hopefully his body's refreshed, assuming he still wants to keep going, compete. I wish him the best, and I hope he's able to recapture his best look like he had. I'd say that first Olympia win, second Mr. Olympia win were a couple of his best looks. That year he took second. Was it 2017? He looked pretty damn great that year too. I took second to Phil. Whatever happened to Bob Paris, who arguably had one of the greatest classic physiques of all time? What did he do? Interview appearance? How do you think he would do in classic day? Well, he's very, very bitter about bodybuilding. I think he feels he was blacklisted. He was sort of kicked out of the sport because he came out as being gay, which there probably is some truth to that. You know, this is 2023. We're talking about the early 80s, mid 80s, late 80s. I guess he came out in like the late 80s. And, you know, it was a different era for being gay. For America in particular was a lot more racist, a lot more homophobic back then. And I think he was very bitter. Another thing he was bitter about was that his physique was never really appreciated and rewarded. They were looking for guys who were much bigger and thicker. He wasn't a small guy. He was about 6 foot. He competed around 220, which, you know, we got guys who are like 5'3" competing or 220 these days. But yeah, he wrote a book called Gorilla Suit where he it was not regretting his time in bodybuilding, but he didn't look at it as a good thing. He wasn't really proud of having been a bodybuilder. And he doesn't think much of modern bodybuilding in the sport. But classic physique, I think he would have made a tremendous classic physique competitor had it existed back then. His condition was never spectacular, but he would hopefully work with a coach if he was, you know, 30 years old right now. Let's say 28, 32 years old, somewhere in that range now. With the physique he had, he would have done very, very, very well for sure. Dane says, Bob got out of the scene after writing his book, did a lot of interviews. He was ostracized after coming out. Yeah, like I said, America was not as nice a place. A lot more prejudice back then. Will I be taking precautions? Honestly, I am so scared to walk him. I won't even. I've been walking him some mornings. A lot of times I take him to the park in someone's car, or my wife's or my son's. He can't go in my car. He's going to mess. His hair is going to mess it all up. But no, he was not trained very well, so he pulls. Especially if he wants to go, or if he sees a dog that he wants to go towards, he pulls. And I don't. If it's a slippery street, or God forbid it's an icy street, I'm flying. I'm not going to keep my balance. So I don't know what precautions I can take. I got to get, those like those crampons, those like mountain climbing shoes with the spikes on the bottom. I don't know. I mean, right now, honestly, I won't walk him if the road's wet. We haven't had any ice or snow on the roads yet, or on the sidewalks, but I can't foresee myself walking him in those conditions. So I would just be falling, and God forbid I tear the other quad. I do not want to go through this again. I'm like, I'd say as far as like function, it's probably like 70% back. I can walk upstairs normally with both legs. I'm still not walking downstairs normally. I keep the right leg straight when I go downstairs. So I come down with the right and then come down with the left and then put the right leg next to it. So yeah, I'm still scared. I'm still traumatized. Why did March? I don't know why they didn't invite him. I have no idea. They pick who they want to pick. I don't know, exactly what their process is, or what their end game. The end game is to fill seats, sell sponsorships, and sell tickets. That's the end game of any contest promoter. That's the goal. I don't know if they didn't feel he was a big enough name, big enough draw. I don't know. I have no idea. But don't write him off yet. I honestly think if anybody withdraws in the next few weeks, I do suspect he might get the invite at that point, because especially if the roster drops by more than one person, I don't think they'd want it to, they don't want 7 guys up on stage. Right now they have 12. They're good for now. But if they lose a couple people, I don't think it's impossible. I think they might invite Martin. So don't give up yet. Would I cover a show if he hired me to cover it? Yeah, why wouldn't I? Any promoter that wants to hire me to do coverage for their show, I'm right here. You guys know where to find me, and why wouldn't I? The only reason I couldn't do it before was because I was with MD, and it would be a conflict of interest. I was getting a paycheck every week from MD to work exclusively for MD, so I'm not covering shows for anybody else. I'm not doing YouTube videos for anybody else. But there's no MD anymore. MD is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. The company's been dissolved. So yeah, if Fawad wants to hire me, or any promoter wants to hire me and bring me to their show, interviews, whatever, I'm here. Yeah, give me a call. Drop me an email. That guy 6. Do you think any funny business going on with egg counters, all the bodybuilders flew out to California? I don't think so. I actually, so Ed's gay. That's not a secret. He probably, he's a good guy. He wanted to help these guys. I wouldn't doubt that he was attracted to them. I mean, why wouldn't he be? If you're a gay man, you have good-looking, muscular young guys around, of course. But I talked to a few guys who lived out there, he had they could live at his house. It wasn't like he wasn't sleeping in their room or anything. They had their own spot, their own space. And the guys I spoke to, like Matarazzo, DeMeo, back in the day, they're both passed away now. They said nothing ever happened. And he never made any kind of creepy demands or anything like that. I do believe he loves the sport. He loves bodybuilding. He wanted to help these guys out. He helped bring a ton of guys out to Venice. He gave a lot of them jobs working like front desk at Gold's or whatever. Let them be trainer at Gold's Venice. So he helped a lot of the mountains. To the very best of my knowledge, nothing funny ever happened, and nor did he attempt to make anything funny happen. Yeah. So how many ghost girls do you write for MD each month? I want to blow my nose, but you guys are going to get upset, so I'm going to do it off camera. Hang on. Okay. So at my height mic, at the height, and I was making great money back then for me. If you had told me at age 18, you're going to make this much money a year, I'd be like, wow. So for a few years there, I'd say about 6 to 8 years, I was making really good money because I was charging per article. I got $750 per article. So, this is why I still do have a lot of gratitude for Steve Bleckman and I'm not going to go on RX, a channel that insulted and mocked and disrespected him over and over again for 15 years after they were let go, because he paid me very well. At one time, I was doing 15 to 20 of those a month. Do the math. Plus, I was still writing for Iron Man, Muscle Mag, T-Nation, whatever it was called at the time. I was still writing for plenty of other people. I was freelance. So yeah, at one time. But the funny thing is I started off at MD as a ghostwriter for a ghost, as the ghostwriter for another ghostwriter. So the sandwich, Josh Brown, was doing a bunch of the athlete columns at that time. This would have been 2001, early 2001. He was like, he couldn't take he just didn't want to do them all anymore. He's like, do you want to do some of these for me? I'm like, yeah. So whatever he got, he was giving me like 2/3 of the money. He was keep taking like, a finder's fee or whatever, I don't know, commission. And I would write the article. I would call up like Craig Titus or whoever. Oh, we had so many athletes under contract back then. And I would write the articles, and then it had the athlete's name on it anyway. So it's not like anyone knew the difference, whether it was Josh writing it or me writing it. But yeah, at one point I was doing like 15 to 20 of those a month. Yeah, because we had so many columns. I think I was doing like 15 columns and like sometimes 3 or 4 feature articles, which I charge the same rate for everything, $750. So I was doing very well for a while there, because when magazines were at their height, when MD was this thick, I was doing well. So of course I miss those days. Of course I do. Paris would done if he remained quiet about his personal life. I don't think he would have done much better, because, he competed for many years before coming out as gay, and he never won a pro show, to the best of my knowledge. Never won a pro show. You want to see how he did at the Olympia? Let's take a look. Let's look at his contest record. I'm going to be going soon, guys. This is getting so long. But I'm going to do this. Bob Paris. This is musclememory.com. Great website. Great resource. So I'm going to share the screen. And okay, so Bob Paris. So here he turns pro. He won the heavyweight and overall nationals in 1983. Olympia 7th, 9th, LA Pro, 7th, 6th, Chicago. 1988, he did all these shows. He got his highest 3rd at the Night of Champions. Wow. Which that year was won by Phil Hill. Robbie Robinson, 2nd place. Wow. So he had a lot of top 5, top 6 places. 89, he did a bunch of shows too. 5th, 3rd, 6th, 3rd. A lot of 3rd places. So that's damn good. Night of Champions, 14th. A few more shows in 91. He got 3rd and 1. And the last show he ever did was 1992 Chicago Pro. So I don't think they were holding him back. Okay. Yeah. This is a really cool website, guys, Muscle Memory. Yeah, wow. And he looked great. That's why they put him on all these covers. He was a good-looking guy. He had an awesome physique. Yeah. But no, I don't think being gay held him back in any way. I don't, because they didn't even know he was gay for most of that time. But he wasn't as big as a lot of the guys, and he wasn't as lean. He just had beautiful shape and symmetry. If Classic had been around back then, he might have been the Olympia champion. Who knows? Hoodie was new. Yeah. I got one for all 3 of us. Me, Janet, and Christian. I got matching hoodies for. We can be dorks and I'll go to the gym in the same hoodie. Yeah. My Cox, reading Iron Man article 1999 where he said he was gay. I was 16. It was a shock because it was a different time. Yeah. He was blackballed. I said blacklisted, blackballed. It's the same thing. I don't think he had as many contract endorsement opportunities or anything after that. It was a very, very different time in America. This is, almost 40 years ago we're talking. Thomas, if Nick Walker were to win the Olympia, would you expect him to compete almost exclusively just the O first? Yeah. Dodging pro shows. I mean, typically historically, Mr. Olympia just does the Olympia. He's the top bodybuilder in the world. He does appearances and seminars and things like that throughout the year, and then he preps for the Olympia and wins the Olympia again. Ronnie did only the Olympia, all 8 seasons he was Olympia I'm sorry, except for the first one, obviously he had to qualify. And then he did the Arnold 2001 and won that, but it almost cost him the Olympia that year because he had a real problem peaking twice a year. If you're at the top of the food chain, you're Mr. Olympia, and you have great endorsements, tons of money coming in, why would you do all these other shows? Doesn't even make sense. You know, it's not that they're beneath you, but they kind of are. If you're Mr. Olympia, you're going to do all these shows where guys are still struggling to qualify. Cristito had a good obtainable physique without using a lot of compounds. You believe Mike Ashley was natural? Yeah, Mike, I do believe Mike was natural. I've stood next to him a few times back in those days when he was winning, and he looked a lot bigger in the pictures than he was in real life because he had just tiny little joints, beautiful shape. I don't think he was ever more than like 185, 190 pounds on stage. You stood next to him, especially if you had like loose clothes on, and be like, huh, that's the guy? That's. But then you'd see him on stage, you'd be like, wow, totally different look. Yeah, I think he was natural. Double M, why do you think Mr. Olympia has recently rewarded very short, blocky competitors? They're not rewarded. They're just judging what's in front of them. And, you know, as soon as we have a guy like when Samson's ready to win, now you're going to have a guy you won't be asking this anymore because now you're going to have a 6 foot tall Mr. Olympia. But they're not blocky. You know, Hadi and Derek, they still have tapers. Blocky is when the torso is just a block. It doesn't have a great taper. Derek has a great taper because his lats are out to here and he's got a narrow waist. Hadi has a good taper. It's not as good as Derek's. Derek's definitely got more of a V, and Hadi's somewhere in between a V and a block. But they're not blocky. You know, when you say blocky, I think of people like the late is he dead? Tim Belknap. You know, we've had guys in the sport that were very blocky, no taper at all, just like little refrigerators. The sandwich. Yeah. How would you have known, Mike? I only did that for a few months, and then he just got tired of doing it. And at that point, I had started writing for MD feature articles, so I just took over those columns from him basically, and then more and more got added till I was doing all the columns. Yeah, there were a couple guys that wrote their own columns, just a couple. For the most part, I would talk to them on the phone once a month. Conversation would take 15, 30, 40 minutes at the most. You know, they'd update me on what they were doing. I'd have little updates on what they were doing with like career, gym, family, whatever, and ask a few Q&As, and that would fill up the article. I didn't edit. So the guys that did their own articles, I didn't even see the copy usually. Sometimes they did. I would do a little editing, light editing, but Alan Golnick was our editor. We've had other editors over the years, but Al Golnick was the editor I worked with the longest. I want to say like almost 20 years. And he would fix up all that. He did that. He edited my stuff too. And my grammar is not perfect, believe me. But he knew all the grammar rules, and he would fix everything. And factual errors he would correct. Obviously punctuation, spelling, things like that. He fixed all that for us. I think you mean Keon. We're doing the Open. I also think he can win Open. He had the best structure on Olympus stage. I don't think he can win can he win the Open Mr. Olympia? I don't think so. No. You know, not to say that in a couple of years he might improve, put a little bit more size on. He's got a beautiful physique. I don't see him beating like Derek or Hadi or Samson. I just don't. No. But, you know, I don't know why people can never be satisfied. Unless somebody's in Open, nobody ever seems to be satisfied that the division they're in is good enough for them. Like, if they're in Classic, when's he going to go Open? If they're in 212, when's he going to go Open? Not everybody has to, or wants to, or needs to go Open. I mean, we have these other divisions for a reason. They're the best place where certain people belong. So why would you look down on them for being in that division that they're doing so well in? You know, let this, you know, like Bumstead, leave Bumstead alone. He is classic physique. He's the pure embodiment of it. He's doing so well. He's got 5 Olympia titles. He's making crazy money. He's more popular than any of these other people. He's got 20 million followers on Instagram. And still people are like, oh, when's he going to go Open? He doesn't need to go Open. Why would he go Open? What's going Open going to do for Bumstead except risk his health more because he's going to have to take more gear? There's no reason for him to go Open. No reason at all. What's up, Charles? I see you had some news for us on the WhatsApp, so I'll get to that later. I'm almost done. Yeah, I know you meant Keon. It's okay. Did I meet Joe Weider? I probably shook his hand one time, but I never met him. That's one of the guys I would have liked to have interviewed. Obviously, he was an icon. you know, I know I've talked a little smack about Joe, that I thought he sort of manipulated contest results to favor his own financial interest. I do believe that to an extent that did happen, but we would not have the sport of bodybuilding without Joe and Ben Weeder. We would not have this industry. It wouldn't exist. It was just it was a cult sport before that. There was no money in it, like no money in it. There's not crazy sick money in it now, but there was no money in it before. It was not popular. It was looked down upon by most people. Joe and Ben, they brought the sport, they elevated it to the level it became today. And I wouldn't be here on this channel. None of you would be watching me. None of you would be following bodybuilding had it not been for Joe Weeder. Great show, bro. I finished up some work. Dead time to blaze. Good. LG is a bang on editor, one of the best. Yep. Come by, Mike. Merry Christmas. I believe Joe did love bodybuilding. Oh, he loved bodybuilding. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the movie Bigger did a great job of portraying the passion that Joe had for bodybuilding, the sport, the athletes. He loved it, and he wanted it. He wanted bodybuilding to be a mainstream sport and activity. And, you know, he sort of played a huge role in the fact that we now have gyms all over the place, tons of people not necessarily competing, but building their bodies all over the world in all these gyms and health clubs and fitness centers. We wouldn't have any of this. It wouldn't be at this level. It would still be a very small cult sport, if it was even around at all by this point, without Joe Weeder. Lauren Lauder, the lovely Miss Lady Tiger. Yeah, doing great. All right, guys, it's been, wow, an hour and a half. I'm going to wrap it up. This probably will be the last one I do for the year, I think. Can see some family and so forth. So whatever you're celebrating or not celebrating, I wish you all the very best. Please take care of yourselves. Enjoy some time with friends and family. Eat a few treats. You know, really just take time and appreciate everything you have and everyone that's in your life. And, you know, get to the gym, get a good pump. Love you all. Love you all. Appreciate you all. So thank you so much for watching. And if I don't see you, don't do any more videos this year, I will see you in 2024. Appreciate you all. Please subscribe, like, share, turn notifications, do all that good stuff. Please help me grow this channel so I can make it bigger and better, and we can really bring up the content to a whole other level. Can't do it without your help. So that's it. Thanks, and I'll see you guys sometime soon. Bye-bye.